Paintball nerd. Today's guest on Paintball Nerd started playing paintball in 2001. He turned pro in 2003 with Bob Long's Ironmen. He's also played for the Philly Americans, Legacy, Bad Company, and Texas Storm. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, a paintball legend, Gerald Garcia.
Yo, what's up?
Up,
Dang, it's been a minute.
man, what have you been up to? Where you been?
Oh man, I've been just doing life. I've been hanging out at home here in Dallas. I really, after paintball, I just kind of started pursuing my art career. The medium I chose for a very long time is tattooing. So while I was gone, I was tattooing. I owned a few tattoo shops around here. And just really the blur was
Life.
life, man. And here we are.
Dude.
I'm older now. I'm almost 50 years old, 49, but I'm still kicking it. I still got a little bit of gas left in the tank.
Yeah. You still slanging ink?
Yeah, I still tattoo quite a bit. I just recently opened an art gallery. So I'm kind of taking my career in a different direction. Just I feel like the past 18, 17 years that I've tattooed, I created art for a lot of other people.
Yep.
And now that I'm 50, I kind of got to a point in my life where I'm like, what's next? Like I switched careers a lot when I was younger. I had no fear. And I just realized I really want to create art for myself. I took on a few commissions and realized there's somehow or another people really like owning my art. So I opened an art gallery and kind of go in that route right now. I'm pretty excited about it.
Dude, you used to, shoot paintballs, and now you're using paint in a different way.
Isn't that weird? Should have worked for Sherwin-Williams or something, man.
There we go. Man, so gosh, Gerald, you're a paintball legend, played under Bob Long. Do you remember playing against me back in the day? Remember that at all?
Oh yeah. Man, I'm telling you, actually, I remember the first time I saw you. And this goes a long way with a lot of the front players that would come into the NXL first, right? You show up to a tournament. And when I turned pro, I was still relatively new to paintball, so I didn't really know everybody. But I remember seeing you with Ironmen, right?
Yep,
with Ironmen, and showing up, and I was like, oh, I don't know that guy. And there was like 2 or 3 other people in that tournament, I don't know. But I was weird back then, man. I took being a front player really serious. So I would learn about these players. So I remember seeing you, and I was like, I don't know that guy. And then I saw you the next day. You guys were scouting a team, or you guys were watching a team, and we were sitting on the bleachers. And I walked down to stand real close to you, just being low key. And I'm studying what is he looking at? What bunkers is he looking at? And then I think I said, what's up to you, man? Introduced myself or whatever. And we just had a short conversation. And I remember walking away thinking I'm gonna fuck that guy up. But I mean, respectfully, right? But that's how I felt about everybody in the league. I'm like, yo, don't look at the snake, because that's my home, man. I got to protect my home.
Dude, I remember playing against you. You were impossible to shoot off the break. You were fast, dude. And once you got in that snake, it was damage. Don't let Gerald get in the snake. It's it's gonna be game over. He's gonna be in your side real quick.
I'll tell you what, the NXL really gave me an opportunity to be able to compete in a level that I wanted to. I was always full send it, And once I figured out how I can make the snake off the break in the NXL, yeah, that really opened up a lot of doors for me. Because back then, first year NXL, if you remember, it was an open field, no fingers or anything.
Full auto.
Everybody was shooting
uncapped
20 balls a second.
Especially your guys' guns, dude. Your guys' guns were just crazy.
Ridiculous, man. Everybody's guns were ridiculous back then.
people don't know what it's like to like get bunkered full auto uncapped. It's like it's different feeling than you get today.
Yeah, it kind of like leaves a mark in your soul sometimes, you know.
Yeah, yeah, you have dreams about it.
And you know, and especially in the front, right? Like when front players bunker each other, you got to let them know the next time I come, it's gonna hurt, man. So you
Yeah,
kind of make them a little nervous, or
don't get in my snake,
no, don't get in my snake.
dude.
It
And
wasn't
and
really
like
my
bonus
snake.
balls,
What's that?
like bonus balls are always gonna happen. Like that's like
Oh yeah,
guaranteed,
oh
guaranteed.
yeah, oh for sure. But hey, that's what keeps us alive, man.
Yeah, man.
Gets the blood flowing.
Dude, how is it playing for Bob Long?
You know, I didn't really think about paintball a whole lot when I left, but I thought about people a lot.
Mm,
Um, and I got to tell you, I mean, there's so many great things that come from Bob Long, right? Easily, probably the most recognizable name in paintball. Um,
for sure.
but what I really want to remember about playing for Bob the most is, man, he was just such a special guy. You know, like he cared. He gave a shit. He gave a shit about the game. He gave a shit about the players. Um, it was an absolute honor playing for Bob. Uh, Playing for Oakland was a different story. It was a
Mm.
grind. Like you got to have tough skin. You got to be, you got to want to work. Um, quite honestly, when I got on the team, I didn't really know what I signed up for. And when I first got on the team, so it was. I guess we can just kind of go about how I got on the team. I was playing for Storm. I think I played. I had just gotten picked up by Storm. Ryan Gray hit me up, who was a really good friend of mine. He lived 2 streets away from me, and back then I played on a team called Havoc, which was a 10-man team that uh, I put together with my best friend Scott Perry, and that was the first year, 2001, and he ended up getting deployed, and we picked up new players and stuff, but you know, I really wanted to play like competitively, and some of the guys were starting to kind of fade off already. So
Mm.
Ryan Gray gave me my shot. You know, he and I talked a lot, and I feel like he always kind of believed in me. Thankfully, uh, so he picked me up on Storm, and I played a couple of tournaments with them, and then I got a call from Bob.
Bob called you?
Yeah, I mean, when God calls you, man, you answer. You answer. You know what I'm saying? Uh, we had gone to Bob's when I played on Storm. We went to Bob's to practice one time when we were just going to start playing X Ball, and I think maybe that's how Bob caught my eye. And I'm a real
Mm.
personable guy back then. We had good conversations and stuff. Um, but yeah, he was like, "Hey, man, we're looking for another front player." He said, "If you want to come try out, we'd love to see what you got." He said, "The way it works, you buy your plane ticket, you come up here, show me you really want it." He said, "And if you get picked up, you know, we'll give you an opportunity, and I'll take care of everything else." And I was like, "Yeah, man. When's this practice?" He was like, "This weekend." I was like, "All right, cool." So I went, talked to my wife about it, and uh, when man, I just remember being like hella nervous, you know,
Of
because
course.
like of course everything happens so fast and everybody gets excited to get a call up to the big leagues. And then when I was flying there, I was trying to think, man, dude, you've only been playing for 2 years. What are you doing? And but you know, I kind of believed in myself a little bit. Bob picked
Yeah.
me up from the airport. It was just he and I had a really good conversation. And then we practiced at his house back then. You know, the famous Bob Long field.
Dude, talk about tough skin, right? You got to have tough skin to play on that
Man,
ground.
yeah, some of the biggest killers came out of that, and because yeah, you'll go through some shit at
Especially
Bob.
as a front guy, dude, you're diving on that stuff. Like you got to learn how to be graceful.
For sure. So yeah, we get to the house. Some of the team was already there. I was hella excited. Bob was very welcoming, so I was like super super excited. So he takes me back to the back workshop, you know, and Mike Carey was there. I remember seeing him, and I was just like starstruck, right? Because I was a Bob Long's Ironman fan. I fangirled over that team. I really did, man. We'll talk about that a little later too. But Mike and I started talking, and I'm trying not to fangirl over this dude. And we ended up driving back up to Bob's house. And I don't know in what context, but I just remember sitting in the back of a pickup truck, driving back to Bob's house. And Mike's like, "So you trying out for the team?" I was like, "Yeah, man, I'm really excited about it." He was like, "Good, man. We need some good fast guys." And I was like, "Yeah, Mike, man, I'd appreciate it if you give me any tips. Like, help me out, man. I really want to make this team." And up until then, everything was really friendly. Bro, as soon as I asked that question, Mike's face just changed. It was just like game face. He looked me dead in the eye and he goes, "Hey, man, on this team, we don't do anybody favors. You got to earn your way in this team." And that was like a reality call for me. And my mindset, but just like that little thing that he told me, like flipped my switch that day. And I remember laying down at night, and we all slept in Bob's house. Like the whole team would just sleep there, and everybody's talking. Of course, I'm a new guy. I'm just really quiet. And I just thought about it, man. I was like, dude, you gotta do this, man. This isn't fun. Like, this is,
it's a real deal.
There's a time when, like, I don't know. I always feel like there's a time when somebody's tested as a man. There's several times in my life that I've been, I've had those opportunities, and that was the early stages of it. And I just put my game face on, man, and I really I went for it.
That was your 8-mile moment.
That was my 8-mile moment. But when I made the team, I remember and it was early. I think I played it was first day we were practicing against Cap Factory teams, like Dave Baines, Glenn Takamoto, all those dudes, which that in itself, I was already fangirling because these are dudes that I watched,
For sure.
So I was like, "Hey, man, this is a big one." And I think it was like the second game I played, I took the snake off the break. Real funny story too. The first time, that second game was the first time I had a conversation with Little John.
Oh,
you gotta understand, Little John, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's LJ, dude. So I walk up. Bob calls me. He's like, "All right, man, get in there." So I get up. LJ's there with me, and he's gonna play my side too. So I said, "Hey, man, where do you want me to go?" Simple question, right? I got a legit question.
Sure.
Bro, LJ grabbed me by the jersey, and he goes, "Hey, asshole, what position do you play?" And I kind of just looked at him. I said, "Well, normally I play snake." And he goes, "Right. What do you see on that side of the field?" "A snake?" And he goes, "Guess where you're going?" "The snake?" And he goes, "Don't ask stupid questions again." I was like, "What the hell is going on?"
LJ's ice cold, dude.
Ice cold, man. But he's the man. What do you?
He's the man.
You can't argue with him. So I hit the snake off the break. But this was like my second game. I don't know what I did the first game, but I just remember this was the second game I played that day. I had a really good game, hit it up, went out, shot a couple of guys, and I think I went to bunker one and stayed alive. Game ended, and Bob was standing right next to me on the sidelines. I got up and I looked, and Bob kind of just nodded his head. And I was like, "Bob, do you, anytime you see something that I should do better, please let me know." I said, "I want to grind on and make this team." And he goes, "All right, man." And he walked away and he goes, "You'll be in LA." And he just walks away.
No.
And I was like, "Whoa." And I walked back up to him. I said, "Bob, what'd you say?" And he looked at me and he said, "You're coming to LA." And just kind of gave me that Bob Long smile. You know what I mean? I walked away. I was just cool and collected. I'm sure I look like, yeah, of course I am. But in my mind, I was like, "Yo, did I just make this team, man?" And it just fired me up, man. So yeah,
That's crazy, dude. Second game of the practice, and you made the team.
who does? Yeah, I mean, who is
You
that
do.
nice to somebody? You know what I mean?
It's
Uh,
not well, you know, from Mike Carey, it's not about being nice, dude. You earned it.
well, thank you very much, man. You know, yeah, it was just a really special moment, man. I love that team.
Dude. So a couple years ago, there was HK was holding this event at ASG, like some 7-man event, and I got a bunch of dudes, that old dudes like like us that still play paintball a little bit. And so we got LJ out there. We got LJ out there, and Arnold came out,
What?
Brandon Lambertson and Miko Hootinen and Eric Hunter and and we got worked so hard, dude.
Yes,
We got
man.
worked so hard. Oh, we got smashed, dude. We weren't prepared for anything. One of the things that we learned was like you need to have chin straps on your goggles.
Oh yeah.
So so we're in the like this, we're at the huddle of like our third or fourth game. I think one of the teams said something like, "None of them have chin straps on." Blah blah blah. So we're sitting there at the start gate, and the ref goes up right to LJ. Hey man, you don't have a chin strap on your goggle.
Oh
And
my
LJ's like,
god.
yes, I do. And he goes, the ref's like, where is it? And he's like, where's what? He goes, your chin strap. You're not wearing a chin strap. And he's like, I am wearing a chin strap. Ref goes, go like this. So LJ goes like this. He's like, see, there's no chin strap there. And so he's like trying to like Jedi mind trick this ref into not letting letting us play. So he's like, ref, just can we just play? And the ref's like, sure, go play. Game on. He's like, you're out, you're out, you're out, you're out, you're out. Like pulled a bunch of us because we're not wearing chin straps.
What?
So and then dude, the first game of the day, we only had 7 of us, right? So first game of the day, we're at the start box, and Arnold is nowhere to be found. Like everyone's like, Arnold, where you at? And then like I hear Arnold like telling some fucking crazy war story, like on the sidelines, not paying attention to his whole team, like screaming at him to come out to the field. So yeah, man, we got work.
Arnold used to take naps, like waiting to get on the field. I would watch him, and he could just like lean on something and just take a little nap right before we walked on, and then walk on the field and somehow just 100 miles an hour full send it. Uh,
Yeah,
but that was the Oakland grind. Little John.
Arnold's kind of an alien too.
Oh, that whole team. One thing I really realized when I stopped playing paintball, I don't think I appreciated it as much back then. I think
Yeah,
they were just teammates, because as time goes by, we realize how many people from those teams and Philly also became legends, right?
yeah,
But back then we were just
teammates.
paintball players, teammates,
Yeah,
right? But I feel like looking back now, I've been fortunate enough to play with, man, I think some of the best, like Mike Carey, Little John, Ron Nelson, uh, Sean Adams,
Zach.
Arnold, Quincy. Zach is a whole different level of intensity. He's the one who taught me even more intensity to get on the field, which was probably not good at the time because I was already a pretty high strung dude back in the day when I was younger. But like Mark Nelson, Kevin Jones, like these dudes were animals, man. That whole Oakland team. And it was real funny. It was perfect time too, because when I got into paintball, I was kind of getting out of my like thug days. I
Yeah,
grew up in LA and I got caught up in the 80s and 90s. Paintball was a good outlet for me to take aggression out. But when I would play, generally people were very like nice guys. And when I got on Oakland, I was just like, yo, these dudes are gangster. And I felt at home with it. Little John kind of was my snake mentor, but he just taught me a lot, dude. Dude was so crazy perfectionist. Like nothing was really good enough
mm,
for LJ. Sometimes he just wants to like push you to the limit. We were playing. We were at a practice one time, and this was still pretty early on the team. And I jump in the snake, and it was like a ladder snake, and that was my jam back then. Ladders were amazing to me. I get in the snake off the break. Sean Adams shoots the corner guy, so it's game on. So I take off to like the 50 of the snake, jump up, and shot two dudes. Went one more knuckle over, and I think I shot one more guy or something like that, and then the game was over, or something like that. And I looked at LJ, and I'm kind of like, oh hell yeah, I'm glad he was on the sidelines to see that. I'm like still trying to prove myself. And he walks up to me, and he calls me by my name. He goes, "Hey asshole, what's a better shot?" And he grabs me again by the jersey, man. He goes right here, and he drags me all the way to the end of the ladder. And he goes, "Or right here." I was like, well, obviously right here. And he goes, "Right. So why the fuck did you stop there?" He said, "If you would have went all the way down here, you would have shot everybody." He said, "But you wanted to stay there." So it was just those little things that I really learned from Oakland that, man, it really defined my paintball game.
Yeah.
Just the perfectionist, the grind, I think. Yeah, just the intensity. Those dudes were nuts, bro. Like Zach would bring a voodoo doll
Oh, shit.
on a noose, and he would hang it in our pits while we were playing. And that was just the attitude, man. We were just like, we're here for the reckoning.
Dude, when's the last time you talked to LJ?
It's been a hot minute for LJ. I talked to Chris Corsino more. Chris is actually a guy that I never lost touch with. He's probably one of the only guys that I never lost touch with, because after paintball, I really needed something to do for myself. So I got into jiu-jitsu. So I trained Brazilian jiu-jitsu under Octavio Cotto for a long time. I fought MMA, or I trained MMA under Saif Saud, who's one of like the best Texas UFC coaches right now. So Chris Corsino, contract killer at the time, was getting into fight gear. And when I started competing, he and I would talk, and he's just like, "Dude, rep my brand." And I was like, "Hey, I'm down. I'm contract killer for life, man." They were my favorite sponsors, always have been, had a great relationship with them. So it kind of just organically went like that. So even now, before I went back to play paintball, I've been talking to Chris, and he's like, "Yeah, bro, you should definitely come back. That mech life, bro. Come back to mech life."
Mech life. It's a lot of fun, dude. It certainly is. Dude, I don't know anyone that has a better time at a day of paintball than Chris Corsino. Like, he finds a way to just make it like an outing. The boys bring out the barbecue and everything, and it's like beers, cold beers, and great conversation. Everyone's laughing. Like, anytime Chris has a mech day, it's like, you got to go to that. Like, it's a day with the boys, and it's like, it's everything you imagine,
Yeah, I told Chris I'm going to try to come down to California sometime this year before the summer. And I definitely want to get out there and play, and just see a lot of the older guys, kind of get back to it. I just recently connected with Nick Schaus.
No shit.
Yeah, he lives here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that until just recently, and I hit him up, and he was like, "Yeah, dude, this is where I'm at now." So we're gonna try to get connected. So I'm gonna try to get him back out on the field.
Yeah, get his ass out there.
I already told him. I was like, "Yo, we're putting an old man's team together. You got to come out." And he said, "I played 2 years ago." He was like, "Yeah, I'd be down, man." So I'm definitely gonna try to drag him out.
Yeah, we went and played walk-ons at Velocity Paintball in San Diego before we both moved out. So he moved out to Texas, I moved out to Tennessee. So, we got him out a little bit, but it'd be cool to see him at a tournament again.
Yeah.
He's a busy nurse and stuff like that, but
for sure, man. So,
dude, I remember, like, you guys were super scary. Bob Long's assassins, Bob Long's Ironmen. And then I remember one day I thought it was you with Arnold. We were playing actually against you guys, and you know how you switch sides, so like you're starting from the side that your competitor's pit is on.
Yeah.
So like, and I would be running out to the corner, basically running straight at your guys' pit, right? And it was definitely Arnold, and I thought it was you, but it was someone else, and it was unexpected because every time I would slide, Arnold would be like, "Beautiful, smooth, graceful." Like he would be,
That sounds
and I
like
don't know if yeah, I don't know if he's trying to get in my head or what, because you guys were like kind of like not the friendliest, right? You guys were like, Arnold didn't even shake hands after games.
Mm-mm.
But I remember him and another dude would just be like whispering things every time I came out to the corner.
That sounds you know, it's really funny because I've heard that through the years. Oakland, we were like the scary guys or whatever. Um, and we kind of took pride in that because you went to tournaments and anybody that was on your schedule was not your friend.
Yeah.
Like if Zach caught us talking to like one of our homies that played on another team that we were going to play against that day, when you came back to the group, like he was going to give you shit for it. Like, oh man, you over there sharing game plans, like trying to be best friends. We're like, dude, this guy's not your friend today. After this weekend, he could be your friend again. But when we're here, this is the only family that matters, right? This is it. But I think as a team, I don't know that he actually mocked you if he was saying that, but I do remember as a team, we really appreciated like what people did also, because Bob would make us like study them and appreciate them, because you have to acknowledge what they can and what they can't do, more what they can do, because you got to go up against that, man. And that was always kind of like the attitude on the team, man. I learned so much from Bob's team. Yeah, easily hands down, like where I learned the most.
Dude, a lot of people like you can't even like you can't talk about competitive paintball without talking about Bob Long and his sphere of influence. Like how many people have been impacted by Bob Long, and that includes the Los Angeles Ironmen. It's like that was Bobby's team. Like Bobby started that team, and they mutinied him out, and he started his own team. But before that, like every dude on that team was captained by Bob Long.
Oh yeah. Even
Bob Long's
practicing
man.
against our team before, I was amazed how many teams would come to Bob's and would get smashed in the beginning, and they would just stop and like ask Bob, hey man, what are we doing wrong? Like, and Bob would help them. Like if you weren't on our roster or on our schedule that tournament, like he would break down game plans for you, and you just got to know he's going to say what he's got to say. So he might tell you some shit like, hey, that corner guy is way too slow. Like, don't ever send him out there. Like, he's not the guy. But yeah, he was just so respected on the field that you can't just, I can't stop talking about Bob. I was there when Bob actually told the team that he was going to retire. I remember coming to practice, and Zach kind of gave me a heads up. He was like, yo, man, my dad's, kind of feeling some type of way. Like he's going to break the news to the team. And I remember like the first day of practice, he sat all of us down, and he was like, guys, I'm going to hand it over. He was like, the heart is still there. He said, I want to play with you guys. I want to be out there with you. He said, but the body's just not willing anymore. And he said, I don't think it's fair for me to like take a spot when, it's your time now. And it was emotional, dude. Like it was
for sure
tearing up and shit. And a bunch of the dudes from the team were trying to be like, nah, bro, we're Oakland Assassins. You crying? I'm not crying. We're just turning around. But it was a sad day, but looking back now, I feel very fortunate that I was there for that moment.
Mm.
Even though it was kind of a sad moment, but it's like a staple in paintball. I was there when Adam Gardner, when I got on Philly, when he retired, and he told me, he walked up to me and he said, it was during my tryouts for Philly, or my first practice with him, and he was like, "Hey man, I realize there's just younger guys now." He was like, "I'm gonna hang it up." He said, "Snake's yours now." He said, "Don't fuck it up." That's exactly what he told me. I was like, man, I didn't even know
Dude,
Adam cussed.
Adam's back. Yeah,
I
he's
heard.
not in NXL, but he's playing 10-man events. Like all of us are playing 10-man events. Like all your, like all the homies. Like if you're feeling nostalgic, you're missing people, go to a 10-man event. You're gonna see everyone.
It's happening.
It's
I'm
great.
definitely going to be showing up. Actually, one of the reasons that I'm playing paintball right now was a conversation I had with Spesh. Uh, just kind of like, yo, yeah, I'm kind of thinking about it. I don't know. He was like, yeah, man, you should come out, get your old gear out. And I was like, I don't really have any gear, because it's been so long, I was like, I don't need any of this stuff anymore. And I got rid of everything pretty much. I kept like jerseys and stuff, but Spesh is like, you should come out, play with the All-Americans. Adam's back.
Mm-hmm.
He told me all these other dudes that were playing. Riley Sullivan's playing with him. I played with
Yep.
him on Oakland.
Yep.
And then like 5 days later, I get a box at home, and Spesh just sends me like gun, tank, loader, like the whole thing. And he's like, how many
I got no
excuses now?
excuses.
He's like, you're right, player. So yeah, I am really looking forward to playing some 10-mans with the All-Americans. That's kind of the immediate goal. I'm going to miss probably the first half of the year. I've got my gallery openings and just a lot of different things that's going on right now. And I'm still just trying to get back in shape.
Mm.
Also, I want to be competitive. I don't want to just go out there and suck.
Well, dude, like I think the most important thing, like, I mean, for me, I can't speak for you, but I found that like speed I was never super fast, but what I'm focusing on now is flexibility because I'm just not as like limber as I used to be.
Yeah.
I jump and I feel something get tight. I'm like, oh man, like if I'm flexible, I can avoid pulling a muscle. Like I'm
Yeah.
never going to be as fast as I used to be, but I could get, I could be flexible and avoid injury. So
Yeah, I could see that.
that's
Because yeah, where I would be sore is just like all the small muscles that I didn't really use. I think jujitsu has
yes,
kept me very flexible.
yeah.
Uh, so I think that helped a little bit in just staying active. But the first time I came back and played though, for like 4 or 5 days, I looked like a cast member of The Walking Dead, man. I'm just like, don't touch me, don't touch me, don't touch me.
That's hilarious, dude. Yeah, I mean, the first thing to like I noticed that went when I tried to play paintball again was sliding, diving. Like I used to be so graceful, and then like now, when I came back, I was just kind of crashing on the ground. I'm like, ooh, I got to work on that.
That
It
part,
comes back quick though. Comes
yeah,
back quick.
the sliding and like throwing my body around, surprisingly, was all still there for me.
Jujitsu.
So probably jujitsu, right? The field awareness was all still there. Like reading the field, that was all very like kind of just instant there. The speed was not there at all. That's the thing that's killing me right now. And I'm trying not to let my ego get in the way, but like that's kind of one of the things I made my mark on, is how fast I was. Uh,
Yep.
so I'll work on it, and I'm doing some sprint trainings, and just I'm a I don't know. I just want to have fun, but I want to be competitive.
Well, you could be smooth. Slow is smooth, and smooth
Yeah.
is fast.
Hey, the game is a little slower now. Even X-Ball seems a little slower now. So maybe there's hope for an old man.
Oh, there is, dude. Especially you. You got it.
Thank you.
So, Gerald, what's a memory that really stands out for you in paintball? Like you've experienced a ton, man. So share
Yeah.
with me.
Um, I mean, right off the rip, there's really two big staple memories in my paintball career. What the most important one, I guess my favorite one is 2006, I think, or 2005 or 2006. We won the Texas event. I think was in Austin, and it was like the perfect setting for me because I was a Texas guy and I had a lot of Texas players kind of just like rooting on. At the time there wasn't a lot of Texas pros. I was kind of just like one of the maybe handful of pros that were playing at the time. X Factor wasn't really formed yet at the time.
Yep.
But we had a really good tournament. It was really cold. And then Sunday came and we had a pretty stacked roster to win this event. I think if my memory serves me right, I think we had to play Dynasty first, and then Excessive, the Russians,
Oh, jeez.
and then in the finals we played Trauma, who at that time was having, like, they were at the top of their game, right? Like
Yep.
Trauma and the Rush. So all of those teams, like Dynasty had just come into the NXL or doing X Ball. I think it was like their second year, so they were lights out. Excessive has always been lights out. The Russians at the time were like the
best.
Bro, they came in. I remember they came in the NXL. It was like the second or third year or something like that. And I used to watch them in 10-man videos, like Trauma Head videos,
Oh yeah, awful.
And they weren't that great back at 10-man. They were ass, right?
Yeah.
So they came in X Ball and it was a bunch of like 16-letter last names that I couldn't even.
No one ever heard of any of them.
Like, I don't even know who these dudes are. Yo, who's this cat rocking a pink gun? Like, what the hell's going on? And they just stomped everybody. Like, we don't even know what the hell happened. So like we had to get through them. But so that tournament was my most memorable. It was the first time my parents ever came to watch me play. My sister was there, my wife, my son, like everybody was just there. The finals game was obviously awesome because we won it. But that part of the tournament in my memory was playing the Russians, right? Because we're finally going to get our chance with the Russians. It was the first time we've really like played on a Sunday against them. And before the game, my wife has always been like the best supporter. She had gone to get like the team snacks or something like that to bring back. And the store they had like American flags, like on a stick. And she bought the whole box of them. It was like hundreds of them, right? Like, and they brought them back to the field and they gave them out to people in the stands. Yeah. And just that whole game was intense. We were just going back and forth. And then like every time we won a point, I would look over and everybody's waving their flags like USA, USA. I remember I remember seeing like Todd Martinez on the top of the bleachers, just like wilding out, getting everybody fired up. And it reminded me of like the Rocky Balboa and Russian fight,
Yep.
It was just like
Rocky 5.
Yeah, man. It was just such an intense game. Like that's actually the game that I remember the most. It wasn't even the Trauma game, but that was such an important game. And that I will never forget that game. Just that tournament in general. And I remember when we won, like I was going crazy. I look, every time we would win a point, I would look over and I would just like see my son's face. And he was really young back then, maybe like 12, 13 or something like that. And just like that proud look on his face. And like my wife's face, you can't replace that. Like when we won the tournament, finally everybody was going nuts. Like I ran over to the net and I like pulled it up and like brought my son in to walk him in, and he was just like, "Oh my, bro!" It was so legit, dude. My son was so proud. He was just like, "You won, Dad! You won, Dad!" And like, I'm getting like low key kind of emotional about it. But so like that tournament,
me too.
That tournament was a memory for me. And the second, a very close second, was Chris Corsino had called me one day and said, "Hey, man, I was a contract killer back then." He said, "We want to shoot this video, which was Soldiers of Misfortune, and we want to do a paintball clinic in Hawaii. We're gonna shoot some footage there." He said, "Do you want to come?" I was like, "Yeah, man, that sounds like fun." It's like, "Yeah, we're bringing a bunch of the contract killers out there." And it was in like 3 or 4 days or something like that. I was like, sign me up, let's roll. So we went, and a bunch of us got to go. And that was like the first time I really traveled to do paintball that wasn't at a tournament or a practice, right? Like it was just kind of fun. So back then I already had a family. I was a dad by the time I was 18. So I was one of the very few people that had families playing paintball. So I tried to go to a very like minimal things, just tournaments and practices. But I was like, but it's for contract killer, man. Those are my boys. So I get out. So he flies me out there, and I think I'm one of the last guys that come in. And we're driving up to the hotel. And as I'm pulling up to the hotel, I don't even know who was pushing this shopping cart, but a couple of the paintball dudes were pushing a shopping cart like that you would get from a grocery store, with Tyler Humphreys in it. And he is smashed, bro. I guess they got there and went to like a Mai Tai bar or whatever, and they just hella smashed. And that was my introduction. Welcome to Hawaii. Is they're like carting Tyler Humphreys back to the hotel, just like passed out, like hella bent up, like he couldn't even make dinner because he was just like so smashed. But that memory, just how people welcomed us, the hospitality of people, and like the look on the kids' faces when we actually showed up and did the clinic or when we would hang out, like that was super dope, man. Like the parents came and brought us like home cooked lunches.
Hell yeah.
And then we had like 2 dudes from the Gracie gym out there kind of escort us when we would go, because like some of the places we would go, some of the locals probably wouldn't really appreciate our rowdiness. I mean, you're talking about a rowdy group. It was like Todd Martinez, Tyler Humphreys, Nikki Vegas, Josh Davey, Eric Dearman. We were just
Riley white dudes.
Yeah, man. We pulled up to North. Wait, it was just one of the beaches. I forgot what it was, but I remember. I think it was North Shore actually. When we were there, when we were on the way there, they were telling us like, "Yo, this beach is actually like the local are kind of protective over it. You guys are gonna have to be really chill, and just really enjoy the scenery." And on the way up there, if you ever see Soldiers of Misfortune video, there's a clip in there where they're in a van and there's like shaving cream being thrown at everybody. Well, that was that day. And it was, we were just it was our off day, right? So we were just drinking a lot, getting smashed. So we pull up to this beach. I was in the other van, but the crazy van, they pull up and they open the minivan like doors, and cans just start flowing out, like shit was flowing out, and then like 6 dudes come out with shaving cream all over them. And these locals are looking at all these crazy white dudes like, what the fuck are these guys doing, man?
Don't go in the water with all that on.
Yeah, but that trip was really memorable because it made me feel like, oh man, I belong here. Like these are my peers, and for some reason these kids really wanted to learn from us. That felt really good, man. And that I think about that moment a lot.
You want to do it again? There's a Living Legends big game this coming weekend.
Oh, we're at
Maui.
Oh man,
Maui paintball, and Chris Corsino is going to be there, and he'll probably have a barbecue, and some dudes will be making hand rolled masubis right there, and it's going to be a blast.
What? I'm gonna hit up Chris right after this.
Get on it, dude.
See what's going on. Oh, you're gonna be there?
Yeah.
No shit. Okay.
Hell yeah.
All right.
So make that happen, playa.
Let's see.
So I know you got rid of most of your stuff, but you got anything cool to show us?
I do, man. And it kind of all resonates with my Oakland journey.
What we
So I'm
got?
going to show you my first paintball gun that I ever got, and it's a Bob Long Defiant.
Oh,
Yeah, if you can kind of see it. So this was like my very first paintball gun that I played with. So naturally, I was like a Bob Long guy, right? Because I bought the gun because it was like a good deal. I was like, who is this Bob Long guy? So I had to look it up, and then I found out about the Ironmen. So yeah, it's got like,
look at that
this was
tank.
the actual, yeah, what was this? The
Looks like an Air
hyperflow tank,
America something.
a hyperflow tank. You remember that? Had like the push
Hyperflow.
button on it. Uh,
Smart Parts made that.
yeah. So
Does that gun work?
man, I have not shot this gun since like, yeah, a long time, Probably not. But along with that gun, just to kind of show you my, I have this jersey too that really means a lot to me. And it's here. Let me
Damn.
let me
Are there
go back.
signatures on that I see?
Yeah, and I'll tell you what it is. So this is like the OG Bob Long, or OG to me anyway. The
Yeah.
Ironman jersey. I think they wore this in like Chicago one year. I was playing on my 10-man team called Havoc, and at the time we were sponsored by National Paintball, so we pitted against these guys. And at the end of the tournament, because I was such a fangirl of Bob Long's mind, I had gone up to Bob and asked him if he had a jersey that I could possibly purchase from him or whatever. And he looked around and he looked down and he grabbed this jersey from his bag and he gave it to me. And I walked around and had as many people that sign it as possible. So like the team
That's
signed it,
so
right? Like
sick.
Kevin Jones, Quincy Boyez, Pep, Sean Adams, Mike Carey, all these dudes. But when Bob gave it to me, I told him, I was like, hey man, I really appreciate it. I started to walk away. I turned back around. I said, hey Bob, one day I'm going to play for your team and I'm going to wear this jersey to practice. And he was like, I hope you do, man. I hope you do. And he probably walked away and was like, you're never
Yeah.
going to play. Like, he didn't know who
Yeah.
I was. So this is really special to me. And then this was my very first jersey that I wore as a pro player. And
I remember those well.
but this was, so I actually got on the team and I don't think the sponsors knew I was even on the team because I was a nobody. So I had to wear, this is actually Phyllis's jersey, Bob Long's wife.
Yeah.
It was like I couldn't fit in Bob Long's jersey. Well, he was actually still playing. So yeah, I had to wear Mom Long.
Is that name pressed on or is it sublimated?
No, it's pressed on. It's vinyl pressed
They
on.
don't make them like that anymore, bro.
Don't make them like that anymore. And then real quickly, I'll show you another jersey that really means a lot to me. And this was a jersey that Contract Killer had made for me. And this was the last NXL game that I played. It was the All-Star game in Chicago. But it was really super sick. He had like labeled the front and back
That's
on
so
it.
sick.
So yeah, this has been like my prized possession.
Chronic.
Paintball, you remember them?
Yeah.
NXC is on there. Fighter. Oh, I'm looking at it. You're not. But yeah, like all the old school sponsors and shit. That, and then last thing, these were actually all the things that were in my house, but is my workhorse. I use this gun more than any gun I've ever played with when I played on the Philly Americans. This was like the hybrid shocker that Chris Corsino had made for me, and it had like my own natural born killer contract killer grips, had my name on it, so that was really cool. But I use this gun probably, yeah, definitely more than any gun I've ever used, and I just recently actually got it back. Shout out to
So does that work?
Hunt. I'm pretty sure this thing still works. I haven't shot it yet, but like, I mean, I turned it on. Everything seems to be good. I actually pulled the bolt out and it was greased up, so I'm sure it does. I haven't used it yet, but I've been using the Shocker amp is what I'm using right now. Yeah. So, but yeah, this brings me good times from Philly because they were also equally just as important to me. I played with some really dope dudes there. Ryan Moorhead, Tim Montresor, Jason Trozen. You know, that was a pretty stacked team too.
You know, Jason is the commissioner for the NXL now.
I heard.
Moorhead is still playing.
Oh, like
Plays with Houston Heat.
he's beast.
Still balling. Still
Oh yeah.
balling. Like hasn't missed a step.
I actually watched I think the podcast that he did with you, and
Hmm.
it was real cool. I was like, yeah, you're still the same guy. Like it's really cool to see them like older now, you know,
Yeah.
and just have still the same mentality, but a lot more mature uh, back then. So yeah, Ryan Moorhead was always like a beast on that team. Tim Montresor, feel very privileged to be able to play with him. I think I got along with Tim really good because he was like kind of level-headed, you know. In Philly, there was like the party guys, and there was like the older guys, which somehow me and Todd Hugo were like the only two older guys. Tim Montresor was like the buffer in between uh, both the team. Because you had Eric Dearman who just wiles out, and then you had Todd Hugo who like is just Todd Hugo. He's a legend. He just shows up to play and just like
Yeah.
super chill.
Dude, that's it's a pleasure to kind of like watch people grow up, right? We
It
kind
is.
of I don't know where else you get to experience it. Like if you go to a high school reunion, you kind of like have this big gap and like, oh, that guy became this or that, he's this
Yeah,
person now. But with paintball, it's kind of like you get to kind of watch it firsthand of like you and your friends getting old.
yeah. It's
And I
not
never
always a bad thing
thought about
either. You know, it's like
it. It's great.
it's been fun. Yeah, it's been
It's
really cool,
fantastic,
man.
dude. It's like I used to watch, old videos and Danny Love would be like, I don't know when we became the old guys. It just kind of happened one day.
Yeah,
And you don't get that. You don't get that until it happens to you and you're like, "Oh, it happened." And, and what's Danny Love now? Like, yeah, he's not an old guy. He's a legend now. Like,
yeah,
he's past that point. He's like
for
a
sure.
living legend.
Yeah,
So, dude, I just love this sport so much. Like, I love all the relationships. I love all the people in it. Like, it's just a pleasure to be a part of.
and it's been a pleasure to rediscover that for me because when I wasn't playing, I really just forgot about paintball. I'm not really a good multitasker. I like to focus on one thing at a time. And when I was building my art career, I kind of just forgot about paintball. And coming back to it, like one of the things that was really just like humbled me is the amount of people that have like reached out or
Mm.
you know I expected to walk on the field and nobody knows who the hell I am, like it's been so long, right? And just walking up and these kids coming up to me and like pointing at their jersey number that has 187 on it, they're like, I watched you, man. What? And then just like seeing all the older guys come back, like, yeah, it's I forgot how amazing paintball could
Yes.
be, right? And even shooting the first ball, like sliding in, I remember just, I don't know, bro. It's just like feeling alive. Like fighting
Yes,
was
sir.
dope. Jiu-jitsu is great. Grappling is great, but there's nothing like running and like sliding and like even getting shot and like mugging people. Uh, yeah, it just made me feel alive, man. I'm hooked, bro, and I don't want to be this hooked at 49 years old, but I'm hooked, man.
Gotcha. You're back at it, dude.
I'm in it. I'm in it to win it. You better watch out. There's gonna be an old man trying to chase these kids down.
Well, what advice would you give to the kids out there that wanna make it big?
I mean, I think there's the obvious, right? Like you got to put your time in. You got to grind. I mean, those are all obvious things. Like if you suck at snap shooting, go out and snap shoot. I feel like the new era of kids that are coming to play paintball is kind of following our instant gratification culture, where they just want to be at the top and don't really want to do the work like to get there. It's almost they don't know, right? But it's really not a secret formula. Like Bob Long taught me a long time ago. If you don't know how to run and shoot, go run and shoot. Like it's not a secret art form. You just got to do repetitions. I think it takes like something like 450 times for your body to do it to get like muscle memory. So I would just do a lot of that. People would see me play on Saturdays and Sundays against teams, and they're like, yo, I want to play like that guy. But where were you when I was at the field by myself, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, on my knees, snap shooting,
the work.
milk jugs, a case of paint a day, which is a lot for snap shooting. But I would really like put my time in and do that grind. But I think so. That's the obvious. But I think more importantly, for the kids that I'm seeing these days, like from just the last couple of times that I've gone out, is you got to learn also the people that came before you. And I think really appreciating what they did, what they are doing, and really like study them, right? And not just like, oh, those are just a bunch of old dudes. This is a new generation. I think that's kind of how a lot of them have felt. But these dudes made it in worse conditions than what you have right now.
For sure.
So like studying their work ethic, I think is very important. Like when I studied dudes, like I would watch meticulously snake players, I guess, snake players and back center guys are the two people I watch the most. Like I would watch when they come around the snake or when they slide, what foot are they going off of? I would watch when back centers shoot. Like I had no choice on Oakland. I'm going to the snake off the break. Yeah. There was no plan B. So back then, like I would watch back center players and snake players, right? If the back center guy's shooting, like if Rich Telford is going to shoot at me, does he shoot the same right-handed, left-handed? Is he going to shoot the snake? Are the levels of his paintballs going to be the same left-handed or right-handed, right? Because the way I would gauge going into the snake, guaranteed somebody's going to shoot it. At least two guns, at least 20 balls a second, full auto. So I had to get really good at like watching the actual stream of the paintball. Where is it actually hitting? And I knew from practice, I needed like a 2.5 foot to 3 foot gap for me to go under, or if they're shooting low, then I got to go swing out wide. And I got to so where is that bunker like that's going to block me from him? So I would watch these guys. So I would watch dudes just like slide in, I'd watch some of the best back then. Like Bart Blonsky was an absolute beast of getting into that snake. So I would watch what he was doing. So yeah, I think a lot of these kids just kind of got to go backwards a little bit to be able to move forward and not just like look at that prize. Like it's cool to watch all the current players right now too. Obviously they're the kings of the sport now, but those dudes' work ethics, they were watching the guys up top or before them, and we used to really respect that, dude. Like I remember Brian Benini and Shane Pastana came to one of our practices at Bob's house one day, and they were just being cool dudes talking about bow hunting or whatever. But man, I made it a point to like stand next to them. I wasn't cool enough to talk to them back then. But like I would make it a point to stand next to them because they would talk to Bob about certain things. Oh yeah, hey, that guy's good. Oh man, you should send him here. You should send him here. And I just thought like those little bits of pieces are valuable information. It can't hurt. So yeah, I think just that, and also for the current players that are doing it now too. I think something you guys got to realize too is one day you're going to be as old as me, and you're not going to be able to compete in that level, and all of this is going to be gone too. I think right now everybody's grinding, tournament to tournament, but in my older age, I've really learned you really have to appreciate this. You gotta give a fuck.
Yeah.
Because you hear it, someday it's going to be gone. Hey, I saw Bob Long retire. I saw Adam Gardner retire. I was there for Gary Shaw's retirement. And I always thought that was really sad. But now that I'm that guy, uh, I wish I would have appreciated
100%.
those times more, right? Like even enjoying the victories. You win a
Yep.
tournament, you're like, oh, cool, yeah. What's the next one? We didn't really like celebrate it, right? We're such
Yeah.
competitors. But when you're older, would you agree that there were a lot of times we probably should have slowed down a little bit and just been like, yo, that was dope, man. You know,
So many, dude.
really
There's so many
appreciate
things
it.
where I just look back on and just like, if I could have just been in the moment a little bit
Yeah,
more, And I think that comes with age, right?
yeah, for sure. And like growing up in paintball with Oakland, it shifted my mind that way. Hey, why are you celebrating this? We got another one to win. They
Yep.
were just like such a winning mindset, especially the first year of NXL, dude. Like those dudes were nuts, man. We didn't lose a single game that entire year, except for World Cup against Philly Americans. Like we
Mm.
went undefeated uh, because of that mentality. But now I look back and I'm like, man, I wish I'd have talked to Bob more. Like we
Yeah.
talked a lot, but I wish I would have been like, yo, Bob, what was like, tell me about the days when they used to drop you off in the woods for 2 weeks and you would just hunt. You know what I'm saying? Like those are cool ass stories, man.
Dude, it's just like, kids and grandparents. Like, grandparents have a lot to say, but when you're a kid, you're like, whatever, old story, blah, blah, blah. But then you get older, and you're like, I wish I would have heard my grandpa's story a little bit more. I
Yeah,
wish I would have listened a little bit more intently. So,
yeah, for sure.
it just comes from being young and thinking that life's going to last forever and you're going to be young forever.
Yeah,
But, for everyone listening, if you're under 30 years old, Father Time is undefeated. Okay.
even
So,
even the OGs that are out there right now doing this thing, like Alex Frazier, Greenspan, uh, Yosh, uh, Oliver I saw came back already. But even like I wonder for guys like Alex Frazier, Ryan, Yosh, those dudes that have been in it for so long and like doesn't really know anything other than winning. I mean, these guys have stomped everybody forever. Like I hope those guys are still able to actually stop and think like, yo, what you guys are doing is a very rare thing. And it's not just in paintball, in just life in general. And
mm,
I hope they are actually able to like stop and enjoy it, like truly appreciate it, not just like, yeah, it's cool, man. No, you get those guys are doing something very special, and they need to, really pat themselves on the back for that.
they do, man. They do, and like most of those guys cry about it. Like it brings a tear to their eye. They figured out like how to like really live in the moment, and now they're focusing on the next generation of their team. Like their goal is to, they still love winning personally, but their goal is to get the new guys on the team wins.
Yeah,
So it's like, I think they got that legacy mentality.
yeah, those dudes are nuts. Freak,
So
freak of natures.
yeah, they're special, dude. Gerald, what are you most thankful for that paintball's given you?
Um, Definitely phases in my life. Uh, my answer is probably gonna be different from most people, but a lot of people say friendships and things like that, and those have been great. But for me, my journey looking back has really like been phases of my maturity. Right, like I mentioned before, like I was pretty heavy into gangs, and then like paintball came into my life, and that like slowly phased me out of that. It gave me a different way to put my aggression in a more positive way. So like that was a big stepping stone. Playing for the Philadelphia Americans really taught me uh, how to care for my body. Because like on Oakland, we were just like talent and thugs. You know what I mean? Like Kevin Jones and I would smoke cigarettes in the pit uh, during an X ball game. Like we were just like, oh hey, I gotta go play real quick. Hold this, right? But somehow we did the damn thing. But when I got on Philly, like Spesh would tell me like, hey, you gotta eat right. You have to like hydrate your body, especially you're a snake player. You know, you should take glutamines for like after muscle recovery. don't eat that burger during tournaments. Maybe you should eat this. You know, like Eric Dearman, Tim Montresor, like all those, you know, Ryan, like they were all really good health freaks. And that was like a big thing that I got from Philly, like even way after paintball. Like playing with Philly, I will say, is what really got me into fitness. And you know, even now at 49, like I've been able to keep like a fairly decent fitness level that I think really helps me at my age. So a lot of those things, and just appreciation for things, which unfortunately I didn't really learn until later on in life. I think I took a lot of things for granted back then, but
For sure.
now that I'm older, I tend to appreciate people and companies who have like done things to support me. You know, it wasn't just about the free shit or like getting your signature labels. It was like realizing now that you had hundreds of people you could have chose to represent your company, but somehow you believed in me. And you know, the older we get, I'm sure you'll agree with this, is like it's harder to find that. Right,
Yes.
like people to actually believe in you. Like at this stage in our lives, you're just like, bro, you're a grown-ass man, you're supposed to be doing this shit on your own. But like to see it now in those levels, like hundreds of thousands people have dumped into what we did for us. You know, I give them their roses
Mm.
for doing that. You know, Contract Killer, National Paintball, Bob Long, Adam Gardner, Smart Parts, like all those dudes, Spesh. Like I just want to give shout outs to all these people that made such a big difference in my life. Zach Long is somebody who I haven't really talked about a lot, but man, I owe that guy a lot. He probably doesn't even know it, but Zach is one of those guys I had to earn his respect. And when I finally did feel like I earned that, dude, I just remember that, like the feeling of that, like, bro, I'm not going to let you down. I just want
Yeah.
to, you know, like ride or die. When we're in a fight, like I'm not going to let you die. So yeah, I'm just very thankful for the people and the experiences that they've given me.
I love it, Gerald. Dude, this has been an absolute pleasure. Is there anything that you want to part with for the paintball community?
Um, actually, just want to give. This is going to be out in left field, man, but
Do it.
I want to give Tyler Harmon his roses, because coming back to playing paintball, I've been like catching up on who's who, what's doing what, and I find, dude, I'm so proud of that guy. Like he's killing it, right? I was on the team when he came and tried out. He was like 13 years old. His dad would bring him out to Bob's or whatever, and I would just see this kid's grind.
He's
Like
tiny
people
too.
probably, what's that?
He was tiny too.
He was a really, you know, just real skinny kid. Um, but man, that kid would put his time in, dude. Like he would wait in the sidelines with his gun and just like he might be able to play one every 10 games or something, but he would just patiently wait. And even when shit's hitting the fan, he would be like our cheerleader, man. Like, good job, guys. Even to a point where like people are pissed, like, shut up, kid. They're like, yeah, I'll shut up too, but good job. But like to see his work ethic all the way through, and just like to see what he's accomplished in life, I really appreciate him, because like I know he gets it. Like all the things we talked about, being thankful of what we have, you know, really appreciating the moment, working hard. Like I feel like Tyler is that guy uh, that a lot of people should really like model themselves after.
Yeah,
Uh,
they do.
and yeah, and so pretty much just that, and the fact that like I just want the paintball community to know that it is very important. The most important thing is when you see me out playing again, I'm an old man. Leave me alone. Make me look good. I did my time. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, hopefully I get to see you guys out there. I am planning to come back. I am planning to train really hard. I'm going to play some 10 man, but I'm going to play some X ball also. I'm really looking forward
Tight.
to that.
Right on. Dude, Gerald, thank you.
Bro,
Appreciate it.
thanks for talking paintball with me, man. Just like the old days, right? I know I am such a nerd about it too. I watch a lot of paintball right now. So, but yeah, I just appreciate the time, man.
Absolutely, dude. You got it.